Hello there. My name is Father Ken Moody. I served in Venezuela for almost 24 years and in Bolivia for another 14 years. And I want to welcome you today to the Maryknoll Father and Brother Vocation Ministry Group. I'd like to share some of my experience in terms of the values that I picked up in both Bolivia and in Venezuela over the course of those years. Now let me tell you first of all about a young, an experience more of my success. Yeah, let's call it that. My success, although I sometimes wonder how much success there was. And I was walking down the hill one day after 7 years in my third mission in Venezuela, and I asked myself, what did I really do or accomplish here? And I could count the accomplishments of one of my companions, Grafton. He seemed to do something in one area, one of the 6 or 7 goals that we had set for ourselves. But I couldn't see myself accomplishing much at all in that goal. And suddenly I imagined a little old lady with whom I had helped go back to her house with her pail of water. See, we lived in a barrio that hardly had any water. It hardly ran day or night. So people went down to the little fountain, the little spring, with their buckets, lined up their buckets and carried them back home. And many of them had to go up maybe 4 flights of stairs or walk up the hill, equivalent of 8 to 10 flights of stairs. This little old lady one day that I saw pick up those buckets, I said, "Gee, ma'am, can I help you?" And the biggest smile came over her face. And as I went up the hill with her, I didn't realize what I was doing until that day when I asked myself what I had accomplished. And I heard her saying on Judgment Day, it was the Judgment Day scene as you probably read about in Matthew 25:31. Insofar as you do it to one of these, the least of my brethren or sister, you do it to me. And I heard her say, "Come, blessed of my Father, receive the kingdom prepared for you since the foundation of the world." It was one of those things that, I just never counted as also important. And you think I ever would have gone down to Venezuela just to carry buckets of water for people? No, not in your life. But when I had that global vision of what it meant to do little works for people, I did it. I just did it. And maybe someday I'll hear, "Yes, come, you blessed of my Father." That Judgment Day could be a very good day. Let me tell you, it could be a very good day. In the religious sense too, let me tell you a story about one other little old lady that I met in the hospital when I was a young deacon. I hardly had the oils dried on my hands. And I go into this woman's room, and she tells me about the story of how she was driving down the road, and a little boy came out of the driveway. She hardly saw him, and she jammed on the brakes. It was icy and snowy. Out of the house came his mother, and yelling at this woman who was driving her car, "You killed my son! You killed my son!" That traumatic situation threw her into the hospital, and 3 psychologists, psychiatrists were visiting her, and I heard later they couldn't do anything. Then along comes little old Deacon Ken Moody, and I noticed there was a rosary on the end of her bed. And after talking with her and trying to hear her out, before I left, I said, "When you say that rosary, don't forget that first decade in which we pray for the judgment of Christ, the last judgment, when he was judged unmercifully, cruelly, unjustly." And the next week, I came back and the chaplain asked me, "What did you say to her?" there were 3 psychologists, psychiatrists that couldn't do anything, and yet what you said evidently freed her up from whatever was bothering her. I told the chaplain about the whole story and what I said, that don't forget the first decade of the Rosary and the last judgment of Christ. And it suddenly occurred to me, no, that's not the first decade of the Rosary. That's the first station of the cross. And I thank you for being part of our mission wherever you are. My mission begins right at home, and it begins with yourself. It begins by licking your own wounds and healing your own hurts, and then going out to those who are family members and those who are your friends and neighbors and maybe where you work or where you study. It's ever growing concentric circles, and maybe someday you'll want to reach out even further and share with brothers or sisters that you've never known who are not a part of your own culture. And therefore, right there, you'll find great adventure. I hope that you enjoy the ventures that you have right now, doing the mission of your life right now. And I pray that you'll follow your own heart and where it goes eventually. Thank you for listening. And in these COVID times, I pray that, you're restricted. Okay, I understand that. You can't do all that you'd like to do, but that's all right. It's in these little things that you do that you'll never know how much they mean, really. Just do it.